On today's episode of Fun, let's fix a crack in the bottom of the skiff. So I've got my beach cabana umbrella set up here. It's 97,000 degrees, slight breeze. But today we're gonna be grinding and sanding a crack from the bottom of the boat. Don't know how that happened. I think I actually bought it that way, but I've kept the boat out of the water, so I never really worried about it. But now that I'm gonna keep it in the water, I've got the bottom freshly painted, and of course I had to sand half of it back off because of the crack that I forgot about, then remembered. So here we are. Of course I forgot to film the good part, but there was a crack all along through here, in here, and on the trailer I noticed that the spot would stay wet for days after the boat came up out of the water. So all I did was take the Dremel, grind the crack out back to glass, and I have some West Systems, I think G-Flex thickened epoxy. I'm going to stuff back up there and smooth out, and she'll be ready for some new bottom paint. I just want to make note, after the second or third time you smack your head on the lower unit, it tends to hurt more and more. Just pro tip you want to avoid that. So unlike a lot of the last jobs I've been doing on the boat, this is not a hammer. But watch the last video and you'll understand that joke. I've got some acetone, G-Flex by West Systems, some spreaders, some paint brushes, and a little chipping brush to repaint the bottom of the boat. Of course, I do have a sander and the Dremel, various assortment of bits, but what I used mostly to get this stuff cleaned out was this little, I guess, cone shape, and this little grinding wheel here that was able just to get the crack opened up enough to put some epoxy in it. You really don't need to make it too big or too deep. Insert jokes there. So that's where we're at. I'm gonna get the epoxy ready, acetone that spot down, fill that crack in, and smooth it out. I just wiped all this down with acetone and cleaned out all the dust the best I could. I mixed up a squirt of the resin and the hardener. This G-Flex is 1-to-1, so one same size blob to one same size blob, and mix it up really good. And I'm going to take this little plastic spreader and jam it in those cracks and smooth it out. Okay, so this is definitely ugly, but that's not really the point. I just went a little overboard and made sure everything was filled and covered. So I'm going to take the sander back here anyway and level it off. It's a little bit high through the cracks, but that's what I wanted. So when I come back, it's probably tomorrow, and give this a sand, it'll be all nice and smooth. I'll roll some bottom paint over it, and good enough for this little Carolina skiff. This job isn't pretty. It's, you know, doesn't need to be. It's going to be on the bottom of the boat. The goal here is just to make sure that everything was watertight and good to go. So, pro tip, again, 100 degrees, and make sure you're on your back on the rocks, and that's the best place to do this job. Okay, so we're back the next day, and all of this dried nicely, so I mixed it correctly, which is always a bonus. I go back with a sander, whack this down smooth, strip my glove. All right, so I just got that knocked down smooth. I mean, it's barely any ridges, and I mean, that's really smooth, and I don't want to dig down in there and cause more of an issue. Got some bottom paint on it. Gonna let that dry and put one more little bit over it. An improvement was made, making that watertight again. Is it perfect? No. Is it good enough to solve the problem? Yes. It's my personal boat, so we'll call this one good for today, and I'll see you on the next one. Oh, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me down below how you would have done this and how I should have done it better.